and it says it is recording. John,
What? Huh?
do your thing.
Oh,
Take us
yeah.
away.
Where am I taking it?
Calgon.
No, Calgon takes me places.
That's right.
No, wait, Angry Orchard takes me places.
Right.
Well,
So, hey there, and welcome back to Con Carolina's Conline. Conline Carolinas. Sure. That's what I got, y'all. It's late. You don't know what time it is, so believe me, it's late. Right, guys?
it's
Right.
very late.
See? Amazing what you can get authors to agree to when they know that royalties are coming out in a week and you're the one who sends those checks. So, welcome to the Falstaff, Soul, and Dark Wind Roadshow. I'm John Hartness. I am the co-founder and publisher of Falstaff Books. And joining me this evening are my associate publisher at Falstaff, Melissa MacArthur, the senior editor of our Falstaff Crush line, Lucy Blue, and 50% of all the authors and editorial and publishing staff of Soul and Dark Wind, Gail Z. Martin. She'll explain that later, really. So we've got a lot of exciting things going on with both of our companies and all of our assembled imprints. So there's all kinds of new stuff, all kinds of new stuff from existing series, and all kinds of expanded stuff. Because, well, I'm a big dude. I expand. I take up a lot of space. So
You're getting to be really wordy when you write.
yeah, I would care if I had an editor that I didn't pay. But so, Melissa, what's new with Falstaff?
We have actually quite a few new series that are really exciting. We have some new standalones too, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But some of our new series, we have the Untold Legends series, which is a weird Western from Tamsin Silver. And that's 3 books. Well, the first one, The Curse of Billy the Kid, came out about 3 weeks ago. And they are fun urban fantasy style Western books with werewolves and immortal witches and Billy the Kid.
Because those are things that always go together.
Yes.
Yeah, but they go together so well. And there's a horse. There's
Probably
a horse.
more than one.
No, you would recognize there's a horse.
There's only
the
one
book.
relevant horse.
Yeah,
Only one horse with a speaking part.
right. It's a fancy horse.
Wilbur.
Yeah, kind of like that, but no.
Oh, okay.
The next series that we have is the Restless Spirits series from Amy Ravenel, and this is a pretty interesting structure because each book in the series follows a different member of a ghost hunting team. And the first one is White Spirit, which came out last year. And I call these cozy horror because they're horror novels, kind of, but they have a kind of a cozy mystery kind of feel. You don't see a lot of the blood and guts on screen. A little bit of a thread of romance through there too. So kind of like that.
Very Amy.
Yeah, they're Amy's awesome. And she's a librarian, so she knows all the best books. The next one is the Lost Peterson Apostle series by Les Gould, and those are part of John's Buvaverse. We have the first one coming out in 2 days. Yeah, the 26th. So I don't know when you're watching this, but in 2 days from right now, it'll be out. And then
No, it came out on the 21st.
did it?
Yeah, because Swamp Music
Swamp
releases
Music
on the
comes- okay.
26th.
I can't keep track of what day it is.
You're sitting in front of your computer and the calendar's right there.
I know, but I'm looking at these notes.
Oh, well, you have a big ass monitor. I've been in your house.
Yeah, okay, fine. All right, so the last one the last new series is the Zombie help.
Easy for you to say. The
Cosmetologist.
Zombie Cosmetologist series.
Yes, thank you. By J.D. Blackrose, which are hilarious.
Yes.
It is Waylon Jenkins is a zombie who works as a cosmetologist. In the beginning of the book, he wakes up and he can't find his penis. And so the ghost of Betsy Ross has to reattach it. Those are hilarious.
Because who else would you want to have sewing your dong back on but
That's
the
right.
most famous seamstress in American history?
Right,
Exactly.
right. So we have Pluck and Cover out now, and Hide and Chic is coming out soon.
And an interesting note about this series, in every one of these novellas, there is the title of a Waylon Jennings song buried somewhere in the book. Because
Nice.
J.D. Blackrose, when she was writing it, said, well, if I'm going to call the guy Waylon Jenkins, I really have to. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
yes, you do.
Yep. And the titles are all puns.
Yes, they are. So in addition to the new series, we've got a ton of new stuff coming out in existing series, some of which are resurrections from series people thought were gone for a while. So kicking us off, we have Crossed Bones, which is the newest release in Aaron Rosenberg's Reliquant Chronicles, which is high adventure, high fantasy with an anime feel and theme. So if you dig Last Airbender or pardon me, that was indelicate of me. If you dig The Last Airbender or My Hero Academia or any fun, fast-paced anime, you should check out the Reliquant Chronicles. I know, easy for me to say.
Haha, that's what you get.
Sorry, what?
Cosmetologist.
Had an itch. Queen's Peril is the second in the Pawn Stratagem series from Darren Kennedy, the author of the Fugue and Fables series. Queen's Peril is the sequel to Pawn's Gambit, and it is the middle book leading into King's something.
Crisis.
King's Crisis. Yes. King's Crisis on Finite Earths. Don't worry, Darren will get that. Storm Shattered, which releases on the 28th of this month. By the way, Crossed Bones and Queen's Peril are available right now. And by the time you see this, Storm Shattered, which is the third book in Patrick Dugan's debut trilogy, the Darkest Storm series, will be available. That ties up that superhero apocalyptic series, kind of like X-Men meets Hunger Games with a little bit of Running Man thrown in for good measure. It's a dark YA-ish series. It's what we in publishing would call new adult if new adult hadn't been co-opted to just mean smutty 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
Because it's not smutty 20-year-olds, but it is people in that group, that age range that's a little older than young adult and a little younger than your typical adult protagonist. So yeah, it's a superhero book. And because we like superheroes, we've got The Avengers meets A Game of Chess in the Pawn Stratagem. We've got The Darkest Storm. And we have got new works in Samantha Bryant's Menopausal Superhero book series, which is one of the most innovative superhero series that I've read. And I'm a giant nerd. I read a lot of superhero stuff, y'all. And I love this series. She's got 3 short works coming, the first of which is a novella called Friend or Foe. The second is a novella called The Goodwill Tour. And the third will be a collection of short stories that'll be coming out later this year. And all of that is to bridge the gap before the 4th novel in the series comes out in 2021. So there will be 2 more novels coming in the Menopausal Superheroes series. We're very excited about that. But we can't just publish superhero books, no matter how much I would dig just publishing superhero books. Some people like, I don't know, swords and magic and stuff. And for those people, we've got A Cry of Decay, which continues Paul Barrett's epic fantasy series, the Necromancer Saga.
Saga of the Necromancer.
Saga of the Necromancer. See, I saw Gail and I was like, wait, I'm going to screw this up. Because it's not the Chronicles of the Necromancer, because Gail did those. So yeah, Paul Barrett writes this awesome dark epic fantasy series about some dude who talks to dead people and makes them do things. And A Cry of Decay is the second book in that series, and it's available now. Keeping with my fascination with the weird Western genre, Bombala Mine's Fast Draw is the second of the H.K. Devonshire Martian Ranger novels that is translated by Peter Prowitz. So these
From
are
Mars.
fast.
From Mars.
From Mars, yes.
Martian. Yeah.
Yeah, H.K. Devonshire is Mars's most popular author. And if you can prove that there's a more popular author on Mars, then we'll stop calling him that. But
And we'll
since you
probably buy
can't,
that author too, right?
Yeah. that too. And Wolf Moon is a continuation of Jason Gilbert's Cold Stone. Man, we got to work on some of these series names because I keep wanting to call it the Cold Stone Creamery novels. And it's not. There's no ice cream. Tell Jason he's got to put ice cream in season 2. But Wolf Moon is the second in the Cold Stone case files by Jason Gilbert. And that follows on Wolfbane, which was the first one. And I don't remember what the third one's called. And yeah, I'm sitting in front of my computer too. I'm just lazy. So now we also have multiple ongoing series by Gail and Larry Martin. And since we have Gail sitting here, we'll let her tell you about the 3 series that she's got going. And that will lead us into the expanded universe stuff because 2 of these series sit in those expanded universes. So why don't we start with Wasteland Marshals, which doesn't sit in a... Hey.
Hey.
So Wasteland Marshals is near future post-apocalyptic, and it is co-authored with my co-author and husband Larry and Martin. And you've got the last 2 U.S. Marshals on the East Coast doing the best they can. They're really no longer human, and they're no longer, they'll tell you, no longer really sane. I pitched the concept to John as Boondock Saints meets The Walking Dead.
Nice.
And
I was like, yeah, done.
And that's pretty much the vibe we go for. So it's been 4 years after a nuclear cataclysm that was just one in a series of clusterfucks that has pretty much brought down most of civilization all across the world. And you've got these 2 last U.S. Marshals doing their best to hold the line. And it's a wild and crazy world. So Wasteland Marshals was the first book. Witch of the Woods is the second book, which is out now. Ghosts of the Past is the third book, which is overdue. That is, Larry is downstairs final proofing before we send off to Melissa probably tonight. That should have come out this month, but didn't because,
because the world blew up.
Right. Things happened.
Yes, because the world is starting to look more and more like Shane and Lucas's. But it's almost so we that one is in progress. And so that's the Wasteland Marshals series, but we're very excited about that series. And it's kind of fun dealing with the end of the world that has nothing to do with the pandemic. And then the second series, this one ties in with the Quincy Harker Demon Hunter Shadow Council archives. Did I actually get that whole series?
Yes, you did.
And this is the Joe Mack Adventures, starting with Cauldron. The second book is Black Sun, and that is out now. And we'll be working on the third book shortly. But that is a guy who is no longer quite human either. After being nearly killed in the Homestead strikes in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh back in the 1890s, swore his soul to the Slavic god of vengeance. And now he works on hunting monsters and standing up for the little guy, along with a Secret Service, supernatural Secret Service agent, and a wealthy debutante who just really likes shooting things and blowing things up, and is hell, she's not a partner in crime. She's already picking the locks. They have to follow her. So that's the Joe Mack series. And then in the Spell, Salt, and Steel series, Night Moves is the first book in season 2. Of course, the first 4 are collected in Spell, Salt, and Steel season 1. And this is the first in season 2. The second book, Monster Mash, there, John's got it. The second book, Monster Mash, is also out, and we'll be working on that third book soon. But it is tied into the Bubba the Monster Hunter series, except Mark Wojcik is the Northwestern Pennsylvania monster hunter, tied in with the whole group in the Bubba series. And Mark takes on sheep squatch, albatwitches, green frogmen, as one does. You know, these are all actual Pennsylvania cryptids. I didn't make any of them up out of whole cloth. It's the part of the state I'm from is just that strange. So
I swear it's like you and Eric Asher are working a contest to see which one of you can make me say, "Oh, come on," the most times in 30,000 words. Because y'all come up with, Eric writes the Mason-Dixon Monster Hunter books in the expanded Bubbaverse, and Missouri's weird, apparently.
well, we knew that.
I didn't. Never really thought a whole lot about whether or not Missouri was weird, but apparently Missouri's weird. They got gow rows, which isn't just a sound my cat makes if I step on his tail.
Now we had snallygasters in the last
Yeah.
Snallygaster in the last Mark Wojcik book, and the Mark Wojcik books are not only expanded universe for Bubba the Monster Hunter, but they are expanded universe for, as some of my readers call it, the Martin Cinematic Universe, which is basically how all of the urban fantasy series we write as Gail and Larry, and Morgan Bryce all cross over with each other. So Mark gets around.
Good for him. Wait, not like that.
Not like
Those are Morgan Bryce books. Hang on.
Right.
So there's a lot going on in the Bubba the Monster Hunter universe. In addition to Mark Wojcik, we've got the Peterson Apostles. The 4th book in the Mason-Dixon Monster Hunter series will be coming out later this summer from Eric Asher. There will be more coming eventually from Jess Friedman, the Monster Hunter mom. But we've kind of got J.D. Blackrose tied up writing zombie cosmetologist novellas right now. And there is finally, yes, I know it's been a little while, there is a new Bubba the Monster Hunter book coming this week. By the time you guys see this, Swamp Music will be available for purchase. And this is what you get if I write horror comedy while I'm watching Tiger King.
God.
There might be a Clyde the Gator King who may or may not have a giant pink mohawk.
Nice.
So yeah,
That happened.
Yeah. And Bubba might get his foot caught where the sun don't shine on a giant lizard too.
Wow.
And I learned a new word.
I'm assuming you learned more than one. Because I'm pretty sure Inzaguri was not in your vocabulary. It's a wrestling move, y'all. I had to look up how to spell it. And it ain't easy. Japanese, man. So that is coming out. And Swamp Music, begins to lead us into what my fans have been asking for a significant number of years, which is a Bubba Quincy Harker crossover.
Nice.
Now, what I've always told people is I can't do that because they'd hate each other. And then I thought, that doesn't mean I can't do it. It
Right.
just means they're going to hate each other.
John, does this mean that there may also be a crossover with Gail's Deadly Curiosity series at some point? I can hope, right?
You can certainly hope.
They never.
I mean, Harker has visited the store, so why not?
And Mark and the Deadly Crowd have mentioned Bubba, so yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think all
So-
of them should get together and go on a grand adventure.
Oh, God. We'll just pick the sidekicks.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah. We'll send the shop guy from Deadly Curiosities and Skeeter and Bubba's and Harker's Guardian Angel Glory on a colossal road trip. But in the expanded Harker universe, we've got two things going on. The Quincy Harker Demon Hunter novels are present day, and those are going to, for the rest of this year, 2020, are going to cross over with the Bubba the Monster Hunter books. So the next two Bubba novellas and the next two Harker novels will be all kinds of intertwined.
Pray for me, y'all.
Because I can't do anything easy.
Nope.
But there's also the Shadow Council Archives, which is historical dark fantasy novellas set in the same world. And the idea there is to play with different times through history and with some different folk heroes. So in addition to Joe Mack, we've got the Emperor Norton series by Michael G. Williams, and the most recent of those is All the Pomp of Earthly Majesty. You really should go to the Falstaff YouTube channel and check out the episode of Storytellers where Michael talks about Joshua Norton the First, the one and only Emperor of the United States, and what a fascinating individual he was. Michael's done a ton of research, and in these books, Emperor Norton is brought to the future to save San Francisco from greedy demon real estate developers.
Which, if you've lived in or near or know anybody who lives in San Francisco, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it makes complete sense to me. So it's super fun, lush language, super gay. They're fantastic books, and you should definitely check those out. Also, Alexander Gideon's first novella with us, A Web of Crimson, is his entry into the expanded Quincy Harker universe, and that's him writing the Shadow Council adventures of one Aleister Crowley.
Wow.
Making Aleister Crowley the good guy is a bit of a challenge. So we may have more than once sent notes back saying, he can't be this bad. We have to like him a little bit.
Right.
Save the cat.
Yeah.
Right. Save the cat.
Incantations out loud.
Right. So we've got a lot of great stuff coming. Inflection Point is the most recent Quincy Harker release. It came out in January, and the audiobook will be coming in June from Tantor. It's a little delayed because a lot of studios have been closed down. And Tantor's physical CD production is offline still. So it'll be available digitally in June, and it'll be available in physical media once they can get back to making physical media. Now, we've done a lot of these novella series, and we've now collected a few of those. So, Melissa, why don't you tell the folks at home about the collections?
Okay. So we have 3 collected expanded universe groups that have come out pretty recently. We have Shadows and Sideshows, which is by Judy Black. And this is kind of like Supernatural if Sam was a girl and was working as the painted lady in a carnival. Yep, that one. Those are really, really, really good. And that collects 4 novellas. We also have Shadows Through Time. Shadows are a theme. Yeah, that one. And that one is by James Palmer. And we get the adventures of Captain Nemo and
Sir Richard Francis Burton.
Right. And we also have a little bit of Crowley in there and
Mycroft Holmes.
Yeah, all kinds of folks from that period in time. And we have These Marvelous Beasts, which is a collection of 3 novellas from Natanya Barron, and they are just gorgeously written stories that kind of jump through time with this core group of characters. Very queer.
It's a lesbian Lamia love story.
Yes.
Yep, thank you, because I could not say that without tripping over my face. Too many L's in one spot. We also have 2 other collections that came out that aren't part of the expanded universes. We collected the first 3 Doomsayer Journeys books by Steve Wetherill into 1 volume. Turned it around inside.
Very large
fella.
volume.
Yeah.
This thing chunk.
If you like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you'll probably like those better. Or at least I did anyway. And it's got that same kind of humor to it, and they're just wonderfully constructed across the 3 books. And we also had, you may have to help me with the title of this one, John, the Saga
of Ichiran?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, which I sold out of at our last con, so I don't have a copy of those to hold up.
Aw, sad.
Sorry, Dylan. Sold out.
Yeah.
But I sold
those
them.
Are, right. Those are by Dylan Bertolo. And that's a collection of 4 novellas that follow a character who basically turns into smoke.
She has a ride-along Asian... Kami.
Yeah.
She has a ride-along Kami, and she adopts the powers of whatever monster she's going to be fighting. So it changes from book to book. In the first one, she turns to smoke. And in subsequent novellas, she has different abilities. And that's one way that she figures out what she's going to be dealing with is by what she can do.
That's so cool. Those are really good. Okay, so that's all of our collections. Do you want me to go ahead and start talking about the standalones?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
We have a couple of standalones that we have put out so far. We have Onlyist, which is by Jason Daniel Batt, and it is a far future space colonization novel, and it is beautifully written. It's lush language, very lyrical. So if you kind of like that literary style, a lot like Natanya's books, you'd probably like that one as well. We have Paradisa by Michelle. And how do you say it, John?
In Antoine.
Thank you. And that one is a
urban fantasy with gods and angels and multiple pantheons and all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah, more than I could think of to put in a sentence.
I do big sentences, and I cannot lie.
Yeah, that you do. We also have Fandango the Fantastical, which was written by Emily Kaplan and John. John, do you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, go ahead. Fandango the Fantastical is the bard that I play on the Authors and Dragons live play D&D podcast. And last year at Authors and Dragons Con, E.M. Kaplan came up to me and said, "Hey, when are you going to write the Fandango origin story?" And I said, She said, we should write it together. I said, "You know what that's going to mean, right? You're going to write this whole thing, and I'm going to put my name on the cover." She said, "All right." So she did. And then she sent it to me, and I made some notes. We talked through the outline. And no, it's totally a James Patterson kind of thing where she wrote 95% of this damn thing, and I just got my name on the cover.
She's funny.
She's hilarious. Yeah, and she's been on the Authors and Dragons podcast. She guest DM'd for us. She knows the character as well, probably better than I do, because all I do is throw fireballs at shit. People who listen to the podcast actually know what's going on. So she created this really fun backstory and came up with a reasonable justification for the stupid name I gave my character 5 years ago. So thanks, because I didn't have one. I just was watching WWE and saw Fandango was a wrestler, and I was like, "That's funny." It's like, I'll call my guy Fandango. I mean, we're not going to last more than 6 episodes anyway, so what does it matter? Oops. 5 years later, we're on like episode 115 or something.
And you have an origin story.
And we have an origin story, which does not involve professional wrestling.
We have one more standalone, and this one is not at all like Fandango the Fantastical. No. We have Impervious by Aj Hartley, which is a beautiful and heartbreaking book about a girl who is in high school, and it's a normal day in high school when she gets a necklace, and things start to change, and she gets some powers, and along with those powers come some changes in the world.
Now, one thing that we've been fortunate to do at Falstaff since we've started is we've been able to pick up orphaned series from other presses. Sometimes presses stop doing novellas, sometimes presses stop doing science fiction and fantasy. That's how we were able to grab the Dragons of Boston series from Chris Jackson. The second book of that, Dragon Nemesis, will be coming out later this year as well. That one started life, and you can watch the Storytellers episode with Chris on the Falstaff YouTube channel and see the origin of that series, which was with another press and with another shared universe IP. So Chris got the rights back, changed things up, and now it's the Dragons of Boston series, because that press, it wasn't really a press, it was kind of a collective, and it kind of went away. Well, Renew You by Michelle Tracy Berger is a fantastic novella that we picked up because that press no longer does novellas. And this is it's an exploration of female beauty. It's an exploration of how women of color come together in times of crisis or don't. It's basically asking the question, what if a trip to the salon could kill you?
Wow.
So, yeah. What if getting your hair did might be fatal? And that's what the book asks. And it's a fantastic story of fellowship and moving forward in dire circumstances and the kind of decisions that people have to make in horrible epidemics. It's a pandemic story. But it's very different than what we're actually living through. Thank goodness.
Yes.
Another series that we have picked up that was orphaned by another press, we are finishing out D.B. Jackson / David B. Coe's Isleveil cycle books. He started those with another press, and they decided they didn't want to do the last book. And I said, hey, Hey. So Time's Assassin is the third and final book in that trilogy, and it'll be coming out soon. We're working on cover, so once the cover's done, book will be done. So soonish. That's a technical publishing term for shit I don't know, but it'll be soon. Before we're at another convention, we'll have that book.
The insides are all done.
In addition, we've got the next 3 books coming from R.S. Belcher's Golgotha series, which started with Six Gun Terra. We're putting out Ghost Dance Judgment, which is book 4, it coming soon, coming this summer, and then we'll do a book a year from there on. And those are dark, weird westerns. And starting with book 4, they bounce back and forth from things happening in present day to things that happened back in the Old West, which is a similar structure to the Untold Legends series. So if you like either of those series, you should pick up the other one too, because you'll have lots of crossover in that. And also, sometimes authors sell books and they only sell a piece of the book. You'll see a lot of people nowadays are doing things called Audible Originals. Well, when they do Audible Originals, Audible doesn't care what happens to the print and ebooks. They only make audiobooks. Well, R.S. Belcher did one of those called The Queen's Road, and it released back in December. There's a 6-month period of time where it is exclusively an audiobook. That 6 months is almost up, so we'll be bringing out The Queen's Road in hardcover, ebook, and paperback coming this summer. And we're excited to be doing that with Rod, and thrilled to have him as part of the Falstaff family. Hey, Melissa, what's coming up?
Well, speaking of books like the Golgotha series, we have both of the other books in Tamsin Silver's Untold Legends series coming this summer. The second one is The Torment of Richard Brewer, and the third one is The Murder of Cricket Kugler. And those are really neat continuations of the Billy the Kid, the Curse of Billy the Kid one that's already out. And like John mentioned, with time, they kind of jump back and forth. The first one takes place largely in the 1800s, and by the time you get to the third one, it's taking place largely in the 1940s, I think. Have a look. We also have the second book in Leanne Rattel's Hands of Time series, which is Dream Awakened, and that'll be coming out next month in June. Those are stories about dream thieves and what happens if they don't make it in time, or if they don't get the dream. For example, if somebody has a dream and the dream thief doesn't come and steal the dream, they could make the decision to do something really bad, and that's their job. We also have Cursed Spirit, which is Amy Ravenel's second book in the Restless Spirits series. That'll be coming, I think, in August. And let's see, we have also, Lucy, do you want to talk about this one, the new one coming from Nancy Northcott?
Absolutely. Again, another series that started off somewhere else, right? And then came to Falstaff. The Boar King's Honor series. And I love these books. I just got involved in reading and working on these books because I just became part of the editorial staff for Nancy on these books. And they are historical novels. If you like Outlander, if you like Sharon K. Penman, if you like Philippa Gregory, really dense, female-centric historical novels. Nancy is a fool for research, but she does a really great job of incorporating all this historical detail into the book. So the first book in the series came out, and I loved it when it came out. It's called The Herald of the Day, and it was set during Renaissance time, or restoration rather. This book, the new one, Steel Rose, is Regency, which I'm a romance writer and romance editor and avid romance reader, so I love me some Regency, right? For people who aren't all into romance, Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, that era. And I can tell you, the people who read those books are very, very up to date and very invested in all the historical details being right. Believe me when I tell you, so is Nancy. Nancy has done the work. If you are an avid Regency reader, you are not going to go, she got that wrong. Hell no, she did not. Trust me, she got it right. But the whole series, the Boar King's Honor, the Boar King is Richard III. And all of these books are about the same family. They were all cursed at the time of Richard III. One of his retainers, a noble knight who was on Richard's side, screwed up magically. Magic is a big deal in this thing. Everybody's a wizard. And because of that, Richard III was blamed for the terrible crime of murdering his nephews, when in fact he did not. If you know, Henry VIII and the Tudors came in, and William Shakespeare came in and said Richard III was a hunchback and evil. This family is bound and determined to prove that didn't happen. Boy, does that sound exciting. Not so much. The books themselves, however, are, because that's where the curse came from. What's interesting in these stories is how they're dealing with it. So you have magical seers, magical warriors, fireball. People can throw fireball.
I'm in.
But there you go. But Steel Rose should be coming out in the next month or so. And again, it is a Regency. The thing that I love the best about it is, like something like Pride and Prejudice, you have two leads who are both really, really smart, both really, really invested in something that actually matters, who are very much working together. Yes, there is a romantic story, and yes, there is the big hoopty sex. When Melissa first said, do you want to help out with Nancy's books? I thought, I'd love to. And I thought, but why are they asking me? Why me? And then I'm reading, go, oh, that's why. Because they have really, really well done sexual content, sexually explicit content, but very romantic.
They're hot.
They're hotter. They're hotter than hell. Okay. As a matter of fact, they're hotter than you expect books that are this well researched and well written to be. That's why I compare them to Outlander. If you've read the Outlander books, she kind of works that same magic, where she has a really hot romance, but she also has a really well done historical story and really well done magical world. So
now, speaking of historical stories, we're going to jump ahead because we all have notes, but I'm screwing with the timeline. So tell us about this other historical series that you're working on, Lucy, and go ahead and lead us into what's coming with Falstaff Crush.
Okay, well, we just put out, like a month or so ago, or a few weeks ago, Emily LeVerett has done a good old-fashioned werewolf shifter romance. It is a medieval story. It is absolutely fantastic. The name of the book is The Wolf and the Cloister. It is the first book in the Wolf and the Nun series, which is just as hot as that sounds. Our hero
actually is hotter, because Wolf and Nun doesn't sound hot to me.
Wolf and Nun doesn't sound hot. Okay, well, no, really?
She's a naughty nun.
Oh, yeah, well, now we're talking.
Yeah, she's a naughty nun. That's my husband, the Catholic, keeps going, it's a romance novel with a nun. Well, she's actually more a novice than a nun. And
she's a nun, but she's not very good at it.
Basically, the heroine of this book is based on an actual person. Marie de France was a medieval poetess and writer and historian and scholar who was a nun, who wrote romances. And there is one very plausible theory that she was in fact the half-sister of King Henry II. And that is the very plausible theory of her history that Emily has adopted. And she is the daughter of a French nobleman, Henry's dad, and a Celtic witch. She is herself a Celtic witch. So there's magic, and there's, wolves. And in doing research, she meets this guy who has this really great library, and it came back from Crusade all busted and broken. And so now he holds orgies in his castle all the time, and he knows everybody at court and stuff. Oh, and yeah, by the way, 2 days a week he's a wolf.
If I got to have a great library and have orgies in my castle, I could hang with the downside of being furrier than normal for 2 days a week.
Exactly. And he actually seems to kind of enjoy it.
You get to run around outside in the woods and chase stuff.
Exactly.
And pee on anybody you don't like.
Pee on anybody you don't like. But these two people come together to work on a project to save the world, kind of thing. Magical objects, doing research in the library. And she discovers his secret. He discovers hers. And they do, in book one, they very much fall in lust.
They do.
And
Yes, they
over
do.
the course of the trilogy, I think that they are going to fall much more deeply in love. But I was telling them before we started, I don't know if Emily watches Lucifer or not, but I do. And the interplay between these two characters reminds me a lot of the interplay between Lucifer and the detective on Lucifer, if you watch the show. It's that
Corey
kind.
Decker.
Yes. It's very much, she's both charmed and exasperated an awful lot of the time. And he is coming on to her all the time, but because that's his mask, that's his deal, that's how he deals with people. But in the process of doing that, he discovers that he's actually very much genuinely attracted to this woman. And over the course of the story, that works itself out in the way you really, really want it to. And I'm very positive on that whole series. So the first book, The Wolf and the Nun, is out now. I got the email from Emily earlier this week that book 3, the first draft, is done. I have the second draft, I think, of book 2 sitting in my queue to be edited. So watch this space, but great books. Also coming from Falstaff Crush are my books, which are also historical, the Stella Hart Mysteries. And I actually want to kick this to Melissa because it is totally her fault that this is a series and not just one book. So.
Oh my gosh, I love this series so much. The first one is Guinevere's Revenge. We're actually going to be relaunching it when we put the second one out. So because they all got new covers because it wasn't originally going to be a series. So now we have connected covers. But it is a movie star, Stella Hart, and she is just absolutely adorable and sweet and seems to just fall upon murder everywhere she goes. It's the funniest thing.
Sounds like Great Gatsby meets Murder, She Wrote, only you don't hate everybody in the book like you do in the Great Gatsby.
And there's always a dog.
Huh?
There's always
a dog.
Yeah, happy, very much Great Gatsby with happy people instead of miserable fucks.
Yeah. But she falls in love with, oh my gosh, his name is like this long.
He is George Barrington, the 13th Baronet of Kingsley on Pike.
Thank you.
And this is why I don't edit these books.
And most of that's hyphenated.
Right.
George,
he's just George.
Yeah, and he calls her Sausage, and it's so cute. But I'm not going to tell you why, because it's really the best reason ever. That was my favorite part of the first book.
No.
So the second one is The Passion of Miss Cuthbert. Is that how you say her name?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this
Cecilia Cuthbert.
Yeah, she's.
Is that also a dog?
Funny. No.
Okay.
No, she is.
Well, Guinevere's the dog.
Yeah.
Yes, Guinevere's the dog.
Yeah.
So it's a valid question.
Yes.
No, she's actually Stella's chaperone because Stella and
the dog or Miss Cuthbert?
Miss Cuthbert.
And she's been assigned by her production company to be a chaperone while she is on a ship, much like the Titanic, going from London to New York because she's going to go back to Hollywood.
Yes, at one point, Stella's having a really hard time getting her telegrams to go through, and she asked the purser, "What is going on? Did we hit an iceberg?" And he says, "Some things are not for joking about, miss."
Right. And there's a really big dog in this one, and he's
Hannibal.
like, yeah, Hannibal, and he's fabulous. He's just like, imagine Scooby-Doo big, but sort of like a bear.
Right.
He's great.
Yep.
But that's the second one. It'll be out the first week of June. We also have 3 more coming.
Yes.
You'll have to help me with the titles of those. I don't remember what the titles are.
Let's see. Book 3 is the
Just
Baronet.
join our newsletter.
That's right. Book 3 is Baronet Unleashed.
Unleashed, right.
Yes. That's George and Stella in Hollywood, making her silent movie.
Princess and the Peonies is
the Princess and the
one,
Peonies
right?
is the 4th one, and that's the one about a wedding. There's a big wedding, and Stella's trying really hard to not stumble over a corpse during that because she's promised her mother she won't ruin the festivities. The 5th one is Le Jazz Hot, and that takes place in Paris, and that's going to have bullfighters and jazz singers and a very Hemingway-esque character, and be fun.
These are just like the best books. I love them. They're so much fun. I mean, everything we put out is good, but these are just, they're lighthearted and fun and sweet, and there's murder.
Right.
What's not to love?
That's right. What's not to love? And I love, I'll tell you, the reason that I can say, and book 2 is this, and book 3 is that, and book 4 is because these have been my books that I've been writing while the world's been falling apart. This is my escape. So hopefully they work for readers that way too. So anyway, that's coming from Falstaff Crush. Shall I also talk about Winter Night?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Winter Night is also mine. It is a fairy tale romance, a contemporary fantasy. I was thinking today, I feel a little bit bad about this book, but this book exemplifies Falstaff Crush because it looks like a contemporary romance. If you've seen the cover, it's a lovely couple, half-dressed, cuddled up together in a. But she drops an F-bomb on the first page. So,
that's so us.
Yeah, that's Falstaff Crush. But no, that is the story of a woman. She is a romance novelist, and she is on her way to get a facelift because she has been single all her life. She has met a guy on the internet who is English. He is coming to visit, and she wants to be pretty, and so she's decided she needs a facelift. But the spa that she's going to is way up in the mountains. On her way to the spa, she gets caught in a blizzard, runs the car off the road, and is rescued by this guy who is living in seclusion in his enchanted castle in the mountains of North Carolina. But he has an English accent, and all of his servants have English accents. The place looks like Downton Abbey. His housekeeper, Mrs. Seeley, keeps turning up in the oddest places and baking all of these wonderful treats and stuffing her full of all of these wonderful treats. And even though there are no other people in the house, everything is clean and everything is beautiful. And she keeps catching glimpses of things out of the corner of her eye. And of course, the castle is magic. And so it's a fairy tale.
Now I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Now I want wonderful treats.
Yes, chocolate croissants and cinnamon buns and yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
I have none of these things.
I know.
Me either.
But we have other books coming from Falstaff
But we do have
Crush.
other books coming from Falstaff Crush. Back last year, we started a series called Dragon's Keep from Raylan Blue, which is a very sexy dragon shifter series. Where we have the next book in that called Sea Dragon, should be coming out sometime later on this year. And I actually like it even better than I liked Fire Breather, the first book. Again, contemporary urban fantasy erotica is how I would characterize that book, with a dragon shifter hero. And
in non-romantic shifter stories, we've got the third of the Cold Stone Creamery books. I'm just going to call them that forever now. They're just going to be the Cold Stone Creamery books. Wolf Song by Jason Gilbert. And that'll be coming out this summer. And also coming this summer will be the second zombie cosmetologist book, Hide and Chic. And I don't know what parts of Wayland he's missing in book 2. I haven't read that one yet. So now we've got some short videos from some of our authors telling you about the books that, well, some of the books we just told you about, but some other stuff. So take a couple of minutes and listen to our authors talk about their stuff. And then when we come back, Gail will tell you all of the amazing stuff she and Larry have got coming from Soul and Darkwind. So you stay where you are. We will be right back.
Hi, I'm Tamsin Silver, and I'm an author with Falstaff Books. I write both urban fantasy and historical fantasy. My newest release is The Curse of Billy the Kid, which is the first book in the Untold Legends series. I also write urban fantasy here. As you can see, there's the Sky of the Damned series, and that is also a web series you can see for free online. And then, of course, Windfire and Mark the Necromancer. A little bit about Billy the Kid. It takes place in 1878 and 1949, New Mexico. You follow Billy through a series of solving murders and crime lords and mafia and crooked lawmen, and it's a fun adventure that I think literally any kind of age group would really enjoy. You can find more about me at tamsinsilver.com.
Hi everyone, I'm Michelle Tracy Berger, and I'm a science fiction and horror author, and I have a recently released novella with Falstaff Books called Renew You. It's a science fiction story with a twinge of psychological horror, and it revolves around the premise of what if a trip to the beauty salon could kill you? What if there was a mysterious virus seemingly transmitted in an everyday hair care product? So if you like science fiction stories that have a bit of horror to them and that have a thrillery kind of feel, and with diverse characters and really amazing female heroines and female friendships, as well as ideas about corporate conspiracy, epidemics, and viruses, this is the story for you. Again, that's Renew You with Falstaff Books.
Greetings, viewers. My name is Dylan Bertolo, and I am an author, game designer, and professional jouster. It's that last one that usually makes me memorable and makes people remember my name. But I'm here to talk to you about my latest Falstaff book, which is Saga of Ichiran. This came out in the tail end of 2019, so it's a new book. It has all 4 books in one omnibus, so you actually have the entire series, and it details Ichiran's story. Ichiran is a young woman it's a modern day fantasy story, and she hunts down creatures from Japanese mythology that keep showing up in her life. And she has to deal with them because she inherits some of their powers when she's hunting them down. I hope you check it out. I hope you like it. It's got a lot of action, a lot of adventure, and a little bit of smart alecky humor in there. So do check it out, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that you have a wonderful Roadshow weekend.
Hi, I'm Amy Ravenel, and I'm the writer of White Spirit, which is the first in the Restless Spirit series. It's an urban fantasy with mystery and romantic elements, and you'll love it because it's got a killer ghost, sexy psychics, a ragtag team of paranormal investigators, and some kissing. And so I think you might enjoy it. I mean, imagine if you found your house haunted, what are you going to do?
Hi, I'm Samantha Bryant. I write the Menopausal Superhero series, and I'm here to introduce you to Friend or Foe. This is a between the novels story. It's a novella that fits directly between book 1, Going Through the Change, and book 2, Change of Life, giving me the chance to show you what happened to Patricia, the lizard woman of Springfield, and Cindy Lou, our nefarious mad scientist, after the end of the first book. And the thing that you're going to love in this one is how much fun it is to make Patricia, the most reluctant of heroes, admit that she cares. And this is the Goodwill Tour, featuring Fuerte and Fly Girl, or Leonel and Jessica, as they're known when they're not on the job. They're touring the Springfield Women's Hospital on a press tour to try to get some good press for the new Unusual Crimes unit that they've both just joined. This fits into the series between book 2, Change of Life, and book 3, face the change, but you can read it as a standalone story too. What you're going to love about this story is the way it pulls at your heartstrings and keeps you at the edge of your seat all at the same time.
Hi, I'm Michael G. Williams. I write urban fantasy, science fiction, and horror. You can find out more about me at fb.me/Michael G. Williams author or at www.michaelgwilliamsbooks.com. My new release for the Roadshow is All the Pomp of Earthly Majesty, the second book in my Servant Sovereign series in the Shadow Council Archives shared world. It's an urban fantasy time travel story about modern-day witches in San Francisco who conjure up their city's greatest historical eccentric, Joshua Norton, the man who declared himself Emperor of the United States in 1859, and send him to different points in San Francisco's history to save the city from a demon of greed. Some comparable kinds of stories are Doctor Who, H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, or Christopher Moore's Blood-Sucking Fiends. I think you'll love this series because it's about a genuinely heroic trio who face a world full of hardship and injustice with optimism, compassion, and a determination to make things right. Thanks.
Hi there, I'm Judy Black. I am an author of fictional books as well as Dungeons & Dragons modules. And my latest release from Falstaff Books is Shadows and Sideshows, which is a compilation of 4 of my novellas featuring the Finnegan Family Supernatural Hunters, which is a traveling sideshow group set in 1903 America that travels the countryside hunting monsters. So if you enjoyed Supernatural but wish there were a few more ladies that kind of stuck around and took the lead, then this series is for you.
Hi, I'm Jason Gilbert. I'm the author of the Coldstone Files, book 1 of which is Wolfbane. It's about the son of the Wolfman, James Coldstone. He's investigating a human trafficking ring, and his best friend tends to beat him with a rolled newspaper when he's been a bad dog. You can get it from Falstaff Books, or you can find it on Amazon. Book 2, Wolf Moon, is out now. Wolf's Song, which is book 3, will be out at the end of June. Cheers.
Hi everyone, I'm Leanne Rattel. I am the author of the Hands of Time series, and I'm here to tell you about my favorite book released from Falstaff this year, and it's Pluck and Cover by J.D. Blackrose. It's hilarious to see a zombie pretending not to be a zombie and doing makeup for the rich and famous while trying to find an adequate substitute for his penis that keeps falling off. So it makes for some witty and interesting fun. Hope you enjoy.
Hi, I'm Patrick Dugan. I am the author of the Darkest Storm trilogy from Falstaff Books. Storm Shattered, the epic conclusion, is out May 28th, 2020. It is a great read if you are into Marvel, superheroes, dystopians like Hunger Games or Divergent. It is a fantastic book with lots of twists, turns, surprises, humor, and a lot of Pop-Tarts. So anyhow, Stormforged is on sale for 99 cents until June 1st, so head on out and grab that while you're waiting, and I will look forward to seeing your reviews on Amazon. Thank you.
Hey everybody, my name is Emily Kaplan, and with John Hartness I wrote The True Confessions of Fandango the Fantastical, the hilarious and sexy origin story of John's character from the A&D, that's Authors and Dragons, hilarious podcast. So check it out.
My name is Darian Kennedy, doctor by day, novelist by night. My latest release from Falstaff Books is called Queen's Peril. It's the sequel to Pawn's Gambit, and they're the first 2 books in my The Pawn Stratagem series. I'm currently hard at work on book 3, which is called King's Crisis, and is about 2/3 done. This contemporary fantasy falls at the intersection of chess, magic, and superheroes. If you like things like Highlander, or The Matrix, or X-Men, I think this book would be right up your alley.
Hi, I'm Lucy Blue. I write romance for Falstaff Crush, which is the romance line at Falstaff Books. My latest release came out in January. It's called Winter Night. It is a grown-up fairy tale. It is contemporary. It does have sexy time in it. It is a book that I wrote just for me. It is my version of a romance novel, and I think that you would really love it. And it is available now from all the places where books come from, including in paperback. Thanks so much.
I'm Les Gould.
I write science fiction, fantasy, and urban fantasy. My latest release through Falstaff Books is The Lost Peterson Apostle. I'm really excited to bring this one out because this is an origin story. Sergeant Matthew Peterson's been in the Army for the last 4 years, kind of ran from home, took hiatus in the Army. He's got a really bad relationship with his father. Of course, that strains the relationship with everybody else in his family. And he comes home to deal with his youngest brother's death, unfortunately. But as he comes home, his eyes are open to the supernatural world around him, and he finds out there may have been a different cause than what everybody's telling him behind his youngest brother's death. And if he sticks with it, he can actually get some justice for his brother. So anyways, it's The Lost Peterson Apostle. It's the first of a 3-book series, all coming out this year, so don't miss it. Go get it now. The next one will be out in July, so you only got a little bit of time to go get it, read it, be ready for the next one. All right, it's The Lost Peterson Apostle by Les Cole. Thanks.
Hi, everybody. I'm J.D. Blackrose, and I write the Zombie Cosmetologist novella series for Falstaff Books. I think they're funny, and I think you will too. If you're not sure, just go to Amazon, click on the little preview, and read the first line or the first paragraph, and I bet you'll keep reading. Check it out. Thanks so much. Bye.
See, I told you we'd be back. Now it's on Melissa to edit this thing so that it looks like we actually stopped for more than the 5 seconds that I gave her to put a break in. So that one's on you.
You were editing this thing.
Balls. If I'm editing it, then we should have stopped recording and started a new one. Oh well.
Oh well.
I might get the cut in there right. So
We
hey,
believe
Gail,
in you.
how's it going?
It's going pretty well. It's going real well. We've been busy. And of course, with not going anywhere, that's even more time to write. And that's, of course, not going anywhere as in not going to conventions, not going on vacation, not going to anything except where the computer is to get some more writing done. So that leads to more books. And a couple of things coming yet this year, hopefully from Falstaff, are the 3rd and 4th books in all 3 of the series, the Spell, Salt, and Steel 3rd and 4th installments, the 3rd and 4th Wasteland Marshals, and the 3rd and 4th Joe Mack. So those will all be coming soon, or at least by the end of the year through Falstaff.
And then the collected editions to go with them.
Absolutely. So that pretty much with Falstaff takes us hopefully all the way once a month or so, all the way up till the end of the year. So that's a fair amount coming through right then. But since the last Con Carolinas, we've been pretty busy. And let me just back up to say, Soul and Darkwind Press are the imprints of Dreamspinner Communications, which is our company. And Soul is the science fiction and fantasy and steampunk arm of the press for the Gail Z. Martin, Gail and Larry books. So everything that is fantasy, science fiction, and non-romance. Darkwind is the romance side of our publishing endeavor, and those are the Morgan Bryce books, which are urban fantasy, male paranormal romance. So that's a little bit about Soul and Darkwind. And since the last Con Carolinas, we've been busy. Inheritance is the newest Deadly Curiosities book. And of course, that picks up with Cassidy Kincaid and Teague Logan and the whole crowd there at Trifles and Folly in Charleston, South Carolina, getting cursed and haunted objects out of the wrong hands and saving the world from supernatural threats. And this time, they've got the heir to a dark magical dynasty who has decided he doesn't want to play that game anymore, except there's this cursed demon box that if they can't get it back from his murderous cousins, may destroy the world anyhow. So that is Inheritance. And
we've all got that cousin.
Yeah, we all do. Yeah, it just kind of sounds like normal people problems to me. We already mentioned the 6 novellas that have come out so far from Falstaff in season 2. And then Sellsword's Oath is the, we've got a kitty bomber here with Melissa.
Hey, Garf.
Say hi.
Aw. Hi, Garth.
Hey, can't compete with a kitty. I was on another call earlier today, and somebody's golden doodle kept truly bouncing like he was on a trampoline, so that all we could see were his eyes and his nose. But bounce eyes.
Yeah.
Stop at that point. So Sellsword's Oath is the second in the Assassins of Landria series. And that is the epic fantasy without the epic length. It is a little shorter, lighter, funnier. Lots of things blow up. And it's two guys who are the best assassins in Landria, except they never really caught on to the stealthy part. So usually as they are escaping, having once again saved the king and the kingdom and killed the bad guy, there's usually a fire or an explosion in the background. Because they never got the stealthy part right. So
you started writing this series after we met, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, I had so many people come up to the table and they'd look at the Chronicle series or the Ascending Kingdom series or the Darkhurst series, and they're all Chihuahua killers, big fat fantasy, and they'd say, "Oh, I used to read epic fantasy. I like epic fantasy, but I don't have time to read it anymore." So the Assassins of Landria series comes in at about 250 pages, which is about a third of my other books. And it's, like I said, lighter, funnier, faster paced, not as many interbraided points of view and secondary stories, but it's got all the epic feel without the epic length. And so that's exactly who the Assassins of Landria series is for. And we'll have the third book in that series, Fugitive's Oath, coming up later this summer. Then we also had The Splintered Crown, and that's by Larry N. Martin. And that, if you like Portal Fantasy, if you like gaming adventures with the VIN numbers of the proprietary IP filed off, if you like to read about those group adventures where everybody goes to find the thing and have an adventure and save the world, Splintered Crown is right for you. So it is just really a book that doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's got a whole lot of adventure, a great ensemble cast, and some pretty cool magic. And so that is the first in the Tankards and Heroes series. Then we had a number of different anthologies that we were part of. Across the Universe is an alternative Beatles anthology from Fantastic Books. And that is who the Beatles would be if they weren't rock gods. And so we had a number of authors take a crack at thinking about who the lads from Liverpool might have been, including folks like David Gerald and Jody Lynn Nye and Spider Robinson and me. And of course, my take was the Scooby Gang. So it is a fun and irreverent anthology, and you really ought to check it out. We also had Christmas at Caneham Castle, and this was with Nancy Northcott that Lucy was talking about. And so 7 authors, 7 different novellas in the same fictional castle, and all at the same Christmas ball. And of course, my novella in there was Teague Logan and Anthony Benton from the Deadly Curiosity series going on their first European vacation. And of course, nothing goes as planned, and Teague naturally runs into an old secret haunted object and a very upset ghost. The Old Black Ambulance has a Deadly Curiosity story in it that is from Perspective Press, and the upcoming Witches, Warriors, and Wise Women anthology also has a Deadly Curiosity story in it. See a pattern here? So there's more Deadly Curiosity stuff to love. Then Morgan Bryce has been busy also. Loose Ends came out from the Badlands series. That's the 4th in the series about Myrtle Beach psychic medium Simon Kincaid and hot homicide cop Vic D'Amato, who are chasing supernatural killers in Myrtle Beach. And then while we're talking about Badlands, Leap of Faith is the brand new novella in the Badlands series. It is free on Prolific Works. And that is a crossover that takes place immediately after the most recent Witchbane book, in which the 2 guys from Witchbane said, we really ought to stop off in Myrtle Beach on our way to the next case. Let's go visit Simon and Vic. So Seth and Evan drive to Myrtle Beach to hang out with Simon and Vic And of course, nothing goes smoothly, and there are murders, and there are ghosts, and there are, cursed objects. But Leap of Faith is the other new Badlands so far. Then Unholy is the new Witchbane book. It came out in the timeline, that Martin Cinematic Universe timeline. It comes out right after Inheritance, because two of the characters you meet in Inheritance play an important role in Unholy. And Simon and Vic from Badlands come down to help in Charleston. And Simon, of course, is Cassidy's cousin. Which is fun because you get to see Cassidy and the gang kind of having an impression of Simon and Vic, while Simon and Vic are going, oh my God, you never told me your cousin like saved the world. So there are revelations all the way around. Then Treasure Trail also came out last summer. Since Con Carolinas, that is, that's the name of the series. John's just shaking his head. That's set in Cape
I
May.
love you. If for nothing other than that. Go ahead.
I have somebody say, you do know what that means? And I go, yes, I know what it means. But that is set in Cape May, New Jersey, and we've got a guy who used to chase down art fraud and relic misappropriation, who has gotten tired of getting shot at. And so he's bought a antique shop and ends up dealing with some cursed and haunted objects and getting to know the burned out Newark cop who is now renting beach real estate from his aunt's company. And they run into a disappearing haunted hotel and mafia ghosts and old secrets that somebody is willing to kill to keep quiet. So that is the first in that series. There'll be a new one in that series later this year. And then Flame and Ash is another one in the Witchbane series that actually came out before Unholy. So you've got 5 books there in the Witchbane series to catch up on. So the other big news with Falstaff, with Soul and Darkwind, is that we've just done a new contract for audiobooks, and pretty much everything I've just told you about that came out directly from Falstaff, from Soul and Darkwind, is going to be coming out on audio over the course of the next year, as well as several books in the future for most of those series. So we're really excited about that. I don't know timelines, but it does mean that by the time it's over, pretty much everything that isn't already out will be. So sooner or later, so just hang on for the audio fans. What's coming up, as we mentioned, more in the Spell, Salt, and Steel, Wasteland Marshals, and Joe Max series. I'm working right now, finishing up the 3rd and final Darkhurst book, which is the medieval monster hunters, and that is Reckoning, and that'll be out later this year. We'll have a new Deadly Curiosities, a new Night Vigil story, a new Salvage Rat story. We'll have Fugitive's Oath. Too many S's, V's, and in that one. In the Assassins of Landria series. The next book coming out is Fox Hollow, which is the first in a Shifter series from Morgan Bryce, and that's set up in the Adirondacks. And then we'll have more Badlands, more Witchbane, more Treasure Trail, and Peacemaker, which is a steampunk series that connects to our Iron and Blood series. And if you think of Wild Wild West, if Jim and Artie were together, you'd be pretty close. But the new one,
they weren't, right?
those tight pants. But the new from Morgan Bryce,
yeah, no straight man wears pants that tight.
But the new
not unless he's part of a rock band.
This is true. Well, you never know. They might have had a side gig. But the new series that just came out 2 days ago from Darkwind is Kings of the Mountain, and that is the new Morgan Bryce one that I don't have a hard copy from because the hard copies aren't out, but it is out in ebook. And that is fast cars, outlaw country boys, snarky werewolves, vengeful ghosts, and menacing monsters. Or if you like Dukes of Hazzard and Supernatural, mash them together and have the main character together, and you've got the Kings of the Mountain series.
Yeehaw!
Yeehaw! Yeah.
John Schneider would probably produce that show.
And
Just
that's
throwing that out there. Well, Gail, where can people find out about you and Larry and Morgan and Badlands and Treasure Trails and Deadly Curiosities and all of this stuff that you've got going on?
Well, you can find us at gailzmartin.com and larrynmartin.com, which just coincidentally happen to point to the same website. And then there's morganbryce.com. We try to make it really easy. And on social media, if you look for Gail Z. Martin, Morgan Bryce, and Larry and Martin, you're pretty sure to find us just about everywhere. We try to keep it simple.
And to keep track of everything that they've got going on, you can go to those websites and join their email list, or you can go to Prolific Works and get a free novella for signing up for their email list. And at Falstaff, you can go to falstaffbooks.com. You can join us on Facebook and join our Misfit Toys Facebook group. And Melissa, what are our social media links?
Gosh, we have Instagram is Falstaff_books. Let's see. Twitter is Falstaff Books. Facebook, Falstaff Books, and the Misfit Toys. And I think that's about all of them. We have Patreon.
Yes.
And we have a YouTube channel.
Yes, we do. Which has this very long title. So we also
it's really hard to find. It's really easy to find, rather. If you go to YouTube and type in Falstaff Books, it comes up.
Yeah. And we're also now streaming live on Twitch once a week. So you can go to twitch.tv/FalstaffBooks and see us there. And we want to thank you all for joining us at Conline Carolinas. And we hope to see you face to face the next time we can all be together. But until then, get online and buy something, because we got to eat. Do I look like I miss a meal? Neither does Melissa's cat. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.